We're about 5 minutes away from the closing bell, and we have been watching the NASDAQ during the commercial break. I don't know if you saw it on the lower area, but it is just barely positive. It is flirting with the flat line there, but you can see a fraction up, down, up, down. S&P is positive, not quite a record just yet. It needs to be up about 1.7 points. We're up just about 2/3 of a point right now. So we have to look and see that the Dow up 88 points near session highs. What happened to sell on the news? Everybody said that we would see a sell on the news kind of behavior move on, as we got the stock news and as we got the tax cut news, as well as Jerome Powell being the new Fed chief. Well, we see these numbers climbing higher and higher. Joining us now, $6 billion man, Haverford Trust Chief Investment Officer Hank Smith. Yeah, what happened to sell on the news? We see the markets going higher here.
Look, the market is in a happy zone, Liz, and it's focusing on the things that matter for investors. That's interest rates, which remain low, inflation, which is benign, GDP growth that's improving both here and globally, and corporate earnings, which are just coming in beautifully. This is what matters to the stock market, not tweets, not geopolitical events, not hurricanes or terrorist attacks, but the real fundamentals.
Yeah, those are our short-term gyrations that the market endures, but always seems to recover, certainly. Where, even post-Halloween, do you have a sweet tooth, Hank?
Well, look, at the margin, we are getting a little bit more aggressive, adding to industrials, adding to banks, which are the beneficiaries of this synchronized global recovery, and the slow rising interest rate environment, but still interest rates are no competition for stocks.
Yeah,
very much the sweet spot.
I think so. So where would you continue to really look here? Would you look at some of the momentum names? And I'm thinking, well, Apple has been around for a long time, but it has certainly been quite the name here. Or do you say with some older names that are a little bit more staid, have a good dividend?
Well, look, we've owned Apple for a while. We continue to own it. If it pulled back, if it sold on the news, for example, we might add to it. Apple is still selling at a multiple that's below the market, even despite a 40% type move over the past 12 months. It is still a very attractively valued stock with just a great franchise and a loyal customer base.
What do you like and what don't you like about the tax plan? I mean, would you touch the home builders right now? We were looking at the home builder index earlier, and it was taking a hit. All the names in the home building area are taking a hit. Things like LendingTree, the mortgage lenders for a lot of these home customers, not doing well right now. Their air hose is getting stepped on. They're going to fight like heck to keep that air hose open, and that may mean a real push. I just wish they'd lock out the lobbyists and figure this thing out.
Right. Well, you can't
That's
have
for every
tax
sector,
reform
pharma, everybody, not just home builders.
Right. You can't have tax reform and not upset a whole host of people. So what am I upset about? I would love to see a capital gains reduction, and I'd love to see a bigger reduction in the top marginal rate. Those two taxes really affect economic growth in addition to the corporate tax. So that's what I would like to see.
You know, that is the one thing. Conservatives are a little unhappy, to say the least, that nothing changes for the top tax rate. In fact, the deductions go away, which means they might be higher here. But that appears to be a little bit of a backtrack of a promise to bring that down to 35%.
Yeah, unfortunately, our elected officials fall to the whole narrative of the politics of envy. And so that's why you just hear middle class, middle class.
That was a Democratic narrative. You know, if this were a Democratic president putting forth that the rich would pay more, a lot of conservatives would be screaming. And a lot of those very guys who wrote this bill from the GOP side might be unhappy. But it's just interesting how things have changed.
But you're getting a big reduction in the corporate tax rate. And I think that is the centerpiece of this whole tax reform. And I say, let's pass it. Let's go for it.